So I think I am live. Am I live? Use camera. Am I going live? Yeah, I think I'm live, people. Let's have a look. Oh, yeah. Hi, we are live. Hello, Facebook. Hello, everybody. So nice to be here with you today. Super excited for this training, and this one is a little bit more organised than last week, shall we say, when I was actually on holiday and pushing the baby around in the buggy. So thank you so much for joining. So a couple of things today I wanted to talk about. It's really important when we're starting a business that we know exactly who we are selling to and exactly who we're serving, because it's like the fundamental thing in your business. It's how you create the products and services that you create, right? If you don't know who you are doing it for, then it's really, really hard to pin down all of your messaging, all your marketing, all your sales systems, everything that goes into the kind of the front end of the business. How do you do that if you don't know who you're doing it for? So I think this is a massive piece, and I know a lot of people talk about this, a lot of business coaches, and in this space, particularly online business, there's a lot of noise about it, and I think it can be easy to get really distracted and really confused because there's a lot of information about it. So I wanted to break it down in this session particularly because I know that some of you here are quite new in business. Some of you will have been in business for a lot longer, which is really cool. So you've probably got this down already. So these are like the stepping stones, like the building blocks of creating your dream client avatar. So like how to do it, how to think about your clients in a way that really helps you craft a message that's going to work, because I think otherwise the temptation is just doing too much, and like overwhelm basically can kick in because there's too much content to create for too many people. So if you narrow down the focus, speak to one person, that's when you see some amazing results, and that's when you can really start to create content that engages your dream perfect client and call that person into you to work with. So I have got some notes here. There's a couple of things, like some kind of basic definitions that I wanted to talk about, which is, people will talk about this a lot, like your target audience. So your target audience is not your dream client. So let me break it down a bit. Target audience is a group. Your target market or target audience is a group of people who have the same sorts of characteristics, and that can be like age, demographics, kind of education level, income level, a way of grouping people together into a segment that kind of they have some of the same characteristics, like they share some of the same characteristics. That's a target audience. So for example, if I'm talking about a target audience, for me, I would say mothers aged between early 30s to early 40s who have started their own business in the last 6 months, who probably have had professional careers. Like, that's a target audience. A dream client is one person. So you can't say my dream client is between 32 and 45 and has a family and she might have been in finance, or it's one person. So the way to get to that one person, and this is what we're talking about in this training, is there's like a 3-step process. So I want you, if you have like a notebook, a pen, a pad, get it out, because there's going to be loads of stuff coming at you. I will keep this video up here as well, so it's in the group, so you can access it again if you want a refresher. But essentially, you want to find your dream client by doing 3 things. The first thing is, now I know this is difficult if you're new in business because you may not have that pool of past clients or current clients to go from. If you do have a few clients you've worked with that you've loved working with, choose one of them to like model your dream client on. Like, what do they do? What was their problem? What was their challenge? How did you help them? What characteristics did they display? What were their, like, how did they behave? Were they committed? Were they determined? What values did they have? Do they have a family? What kind of hopes and fears or worries did they have? Really get into like quite a deep dive into that person, because that really helps you understand the kind of content that will speak to that dream client. So that works if you've had some past clients or you've got current clients, because you can then choose like a real person and then ask yourself all these questions around what they do and their habits and their fears and their hopes and their problems. If you don't have any existing clients, what you can do, and what I definitely did when I first started, was I actually pinpointed people who I thought would fall into that like category of being my dream client. So people who were former professional corporate women who had a certain level of education, who were mothers. So I actually identified people and I just reached out to them and said, hey, would you mind having a chat? I'd really love to know a bit more about where you're coming from, what kind of challenges you've had in setting up your business, if you've been in business for a while or if you're quite new, and literally just having conversations with people, because first of all, it widens your knowledge of the problem that you're solving, and it gives you the language that people are using when they're talking about that problem. I think as experts, and if you're like a business coach, or if you're providing a done-for-you service, or if you're in digital, we can get really caught up in the jargon and the expertise, and you kind of want to show everybody how much you know, but you're not speaking to people the way they would like say something, so it doesn't really hit home and they don't think that this applies to them because it doesn't sound like something that they'd say. I have been following someone who's really good, a lady called Pamela Bruner, and she was saying that when you're writing content, you want to pitch it at about the level, this is really, it sounds wacky, but it's true, at the level of an 8 to 10 year old in terms of comprehension. Which sounds weird because we're talking to smart people, we are smart people, we're talking to educated professionals, but when the brain doesn't have to like doubly process stuff and words and complicated sentences, then people can have an immediate reaction to you. They have an emotional reaction because their brain isn't spending time figuring out what it is you're trying to say. So definitely the simpler the better. Like if you can speak to someone in simple terms and actually using words that they use themselves, that's when your content starts to massively skyrocket, because people know you're speaking to them. Okay, so there's the first two things. Number one, if you've already got clients, past clients or current clients, choose somebody and really go deep on them, like their hopes, dreams, beliefs, routines, habits, those sorts of things. Secondly, if you don't already have clients, then call people. So choose people that you think would be your dream client. They've got the money to do it, they've got the commitment, they've got those kind of traits, and speak to them and actually just write down in their language how they think about their problem. Okay, so the third thing, I've written all of this down. Okay, so create your avatar's profile. So when I say avatar, that's like the one person, that's your dream client. So when I say create the profile, this is when you can have a bit of creative fun. And I think also, if you've got a business that has like a couple of different products, then you will be using different client avatars for those different products. So make sure you separate them, because you're not just promoting to one person. It's going to be different people and you're going to speak to them in different ways. But firstly, I would literally go through like 10 questions. I will post this in the group as well. So after the live, I'm going to post the actual questions that I use to create my dream client avatar. I don't think I can literally remember them all off the top of my head right now, but it is more about what does their day look like. So imagining you are them, you go through their day, like what are they feeling when they wake up, what are they feeling when they make breakfast, what do they eat, like it's literally a day in their life, and it just going through the kind of, what does their day look like, what do they do, what are they thinking and feeling. So these are the really key things that I think we need to dial into when we're creating our dream client avatar, because often people are really general. So if you're doing any kind of ads targeting, Facebook or whatever, people are really general. They say like women aged 30 to 50 with an interest in self-improvement. Like that's far too general. That's an audience of millions and millions and millions of people. So you want to narrow it down to, so you would like say with certainty, oh, my dream client would like this, she wouldn't like that. Like she would love this kind of content, she wouldn't like this kind of content. You need to almost be on kind of best friend basis with your dream client, so that anything that you're putting out there and anything that you're selling is going to feel right for them. And it's a process, like it's not immediate. You have to spend time doing this. But if you have, let's take for example like a health coaching business, or you're a nutritionist. So what you could say is your target audience, like the group of people, is I want to help mums lose the baby weight without denying themselves treats or feeling hungry. So that's a really good target audience, and it could be women aged 30 to 45 who have children. Like that's a target audience. Your dream client, however, would be Lucy. Lucy is 38 years old. She had a baby last year and she's still struggling to lose that kind of last stubborn stone, whatever it is. But she also wants to feel healthy, energized, stress-free, and she doesn't want to be emotional eating or stress eating or feeling bad about herself. So it's more about feelings, thoughts, hopes, fears, as opposed to Lucy is 38, she lives here, she has a job like this, she earns this. Like it's less about that stuff, because people don't relate, like they don't identify as being a demographic. Like they identify as being them, and they have unique sets of challenges, they have unique fears, they have unique hopes. So does that make sense? Like it's more about the emotion, it's more about the feeling that people get from you, and you can only get that by sort of knowing quite intimately who that person is and what they do. So when it comes to defining your dream client, you want to know them. So that's the main, like, fundamental piece you have to do. But the second thing is you also have to know the problem that they've got that your product or service solves. So what are you promising them? What is the result that you're offering them? What's the change that you're going to give them from what you do? And that's really important. It's also important that they know they have a problem, because sometimes people just don't identify with having the problem you think they do, in a weird way. Like if you see, let's take for example a mum who has 2 children working full time. So basically that was me 2 years ago. She may not know that she has a problem with burnout. She may not know that she has a problem with stress, because she's in it and she's not aware that that's a problem. What she might be aware of is the symptoms. She might be aware that she feels tired all the time, or she might be aware that she's rushing, like all day she's running around. So those are the things that you want to call out in your messaging, in your marketing, in your content. It's not the underlying problem of, are you a burnt out, stressed out, overachieving mum? You know, she may not identify that as being her, because she's not aware of that problem yet. So it's more about speak to what's going on, speak to the symptoms, not the cause. And I think that's a really key thing with anyone who is offering some kind of result-based service. What are the symptoms of what they're going through? Because if you can say that you solve the symptoms, then that's brilliant. The people may not know that they have like the problem that you solve, but they know what they're going through day to day, which are the symptoms of that problem. Does that make sense? It sounds kind of complicated, but it's super easy. It's basically you need to speak to how people are kind of speaking to themselves. Like when I was running around and I was very busy and working full time and trying to juggle family, and I wasn't feeling like I was having a breakdown. I felt okay, but I didn't feel great. Like I felt really tired, I felt really snappy, really irritable, those sorts of things. And those were the symptoms of the problem. Do you see what I mean? So anyway, speak to how they identify themselves as having the problem. So the third thing is you want to solve something or help people with a problem they want solved. So if you are speaking in your content to someone who wants to tone up and feel energetic and feel really fit and healthy, you want to basically speak to those results and be like, this is the problem that I'm solving for you, because people will always gravitate towards the result. They don't care about your process. They don't care about how many modules or how many videos or how many steps, or they don't care about what you do. They care about how you help them. So if you can talk around how you actually help them get that result, that's what is interesting. That's what suddenly turns like blah content into really good content, because people start paying attention. It's like, hey, that's me. It's like you're talking to them individually. I hope this is all making sense. There's quite a lot of information in here. But yeah, I'd love to hear if send me a comment. If you're watching the replay, just type replay. If you're watching live, just type live. It'd be really good to see how you're kind of feeling with this kind of level of content, because there's quite a lot. But yeah, so dream clients, the second thing is, once you've got your dream client, so you know who they are, you know their hopes, fears, struggles, pains, you know that you can solve them, where on the journey are they? So you've got two things you need to think about: who they are, what they do, what their problem is, how you solve it. And then the second piece is, but where on that journey of awareness are they? And they're two really different things. So when I talk about the journey and awareness, I'm talking about that relationship with you. So are they a brand new customer? Are they a brand new client? Or do they already know about you? Are they aware that you have a solution? Because sometimes we don't realise that people don't know what we sell. They don't know that you have an offering. So you need to establish how to speak to someone in those different stages of them knowing you. That sounds complicated, but it's not really. It's kind of more about the general awareness. If someone's just met you, they might listen to a couple of your lives, they might have subscribed to your YouTube, or if you're on YouTube, they might be following you on Instagram and kind of know generally of you, but not what you do. Or there's the second, more engaged audience, they've been following you for a while, they know what you do, they like your content, they engage, they comment. I would say that that's in that kind of almost a consideration phase. They know who you are, they know you solve a problem that they have, and they're keen to know more. They're putting their hand up and saying, me, I want to know more, I want to be part of this group, and I want to know what you do. And then there's the third one, who is super hot lead, and you would definitely speak to them in a totally different way than you'd speak to someone who's just getting to know you. People use the analogy of dating in this, which I find it works. It's kind of you wouldn't walk up to a stranger on the street and be like, hey, do you want to get married? That's a dumb example, but you know what I mean. You wouldn't speak to someone who has been following you for ages and who knows your content and who's engaging with you and kind of maybe reached out and said, how can we work together? You would totally speak to them in a totally different way to someone who's just started following you. So this is kind of moving into a different conversation around how you do your content and how you have the different types. But it's just worth thinking about. So the first thing to think about is that dream client. And also ask yourself, what makes a dream client? And really, this is your business. This is you. you want to work with people that light you up, that you love, that feel good to you, that you know you can help. And if you're attracting the wrong kinds of people into your business, it might be worth just taking a moment and thinking, why is this happening? Am I being too broad? Am I being too general in my message? Am I saying I can help people with everything? Like, what specifically do you help with? And then speak specifically around that problem, because then you'll start to get people and call people in who have that problem but have also identified themselves as having that problem, and they feel comfortable with reaching out because they say that's for me and they know it's for them. So it's interesting to kind of take a step back and think, I want to work with people like this. It's almost worth writing down a list of all the attributes you want them to have, because, and I know people think this might be a bit kind of out there, a bit, the whole manifestation thing and energy, but I think it's so much about energy. Like, if you put out really good energy, you attract really good energy. If you put out negativity and, crappy energy, then it's not surprising you might get that back. So think about really like what would make you so happy. What kind of people do you want to work with? What kind of people do you want to be surrounded by? And then match that energy with kind of what you put out. And I do think that really works, and it works in all sorts of areas of life as well. Like, if you show up and you're negative and pessimistic, then you're probably going to have not a great day. If you turn up and you're energetic and happy, then chances are you'll feel a lot better about stuff. But think about that dream client. Like, what will make them a dream client for you? Yes, having the money to pay you, definitely. But kind of what values, what kind of attitude do they need to be? Like, they need to be open and receptive. Do they need to feel strongly about something? Do you know what I mean? It's not just about like being really linear about things and saying, oh, they must have this job and that. Like, someone can look great on paper, and then you actually have a conversation with them and it's like, it's not going to work because it's just not a match. So it's really important that you are first super clear on that match for you and what that looks like, because then when you get clear on that, then writing, hello Joe, hi, oh, love Joe, when you get super clear on that match, it becomes so much easier to write for that person. I'm going to tell you something like that I do. So for my dream client, I've called her Alex. I've actually made up this whole fictional character. I've gone into like what she watches, what she likes doing, what her kids are called. I mean, it seems really silly until you start writing stuff and you're like, would Alex like that? No, she wouldn't like that. Like, it actually gives them some body and substance. So it's like you're writing for somebody. And I see so many people it's just so noisy, basically, on all the social channels. It's so noisy and there's so much stuff to trawl through, and you can really tell when someone knows who their ideal client is, because it sounds natural, it doesn't sound like forced, it doesn't sound like scripted, it sounds real. And that's a really nice way of getting the right clients in who you really want to work with. Because if you're pretending to be something else, and if you're pretending to be like super buttoned up and whatever you're not, because you think you have to be a certain way for what your business is, then chances are you're going to attract in people who don't feel like a great fit, because it wasn't you. It wasn't like you being your authentic self. So it's definitely worth thinking about that, like what makes that person perfect for you to work with, and what would be a wonderful experience for you to give them and for them to get from you, because it also, like, they have to feel good about working with you. I'm mainly talking kind of about service-based entrepreneurs here and online entrepreneurs. Product-based business, obviously there's a lot of research that goes into that ideal customer, but it's less, I'd say, worry less about the hopes, fears, desires, all that kind of stuff, because, I mean, unless it's quite a high ticket product, but you still want to create a following. And actually, having said that, I'm going to completely just contradict myself. You can have a following of like truly passionate fans for like a super boring product. That exists. I mean, just an example, I would say, if anyone knows ClickFunnels, the kind of it's like software as a service. It is not sexy, it's not interesting, but the guy who founded it has made it into this movement that you can actually get on board with. He's made this into this whole like tribe of belonging. So you can totally do that with product-based businesses. It's less important that you have like a true like personality match because they're just buying products, but it's really important that your content still speaks to them, even if they're just buying supplements or whatever it is that you're selling, because people don't buy logically. You think that they do, but they really buy emotionally, and it's that knowing, that liking, and that trusting, and that I think it can only come from you being authentic, you putting out what you want to get back, and just being totally true to yourself, and not doing things the way that you think you have to do it, because I think it'll feel kind of wrong and it'll feel off, and you'll constantly be comparing yourself to other people. Do it the way that you like to do it. I hope that makes sense. The last thing I want to talk about is more tactical. So you've got your dream client avatar, their thoughts, feelings, hopes, dreams. You've done all that kind of deep work on like who they are, what their day looks like. I love that bit because it's just a really good kind of way of getting into their head and like seeing what their life looks like. But then to create content that actually uses their language, I love this. Love. Go onto Amazon and look up books that they would be reading. So if you're in the like self-improvement or coaching space, there's like a ton of books that would be recommended for that kind of a reader. So you can look like self-help, improvement, coaching, look at the top rated and also look at the bottom rated. So look at the highest selling books and the lowest selling books. Go into the highest selling books and just look at the reviews. You can actually take words out of those reviews and directly use them in your marketing. This is such a good tip. So you can actually get like word for word language that your dream client is using about a problem or a challenge or something that you help with, right? So choose a book that's like in your niche, and then use it in your marketing. And then equally for like the lowest rating. So I didn't mean the lowest rated books, I meant the worst reviews. Go to the worst reviews, like the half star, whatever, and then choose language from that as well. So you've got almost like the result that you get with a good review, and then the crappy review of like the problem that they're having. It's a really good tip. So do that. Also Facebook groups. So these are brilliant. There are so many amazing Facebook groups for your dream client. So say your dream client is a dog lover, just go into like dog lover groups. And if you're looking for a specific problem they've got with training, you can just type in, like in the search bar next to the group, is anyone having a problem with, sorry, the kids are being really noisy, I've got a play date. Sorry. Is anyone having a problem with training or questions about training? Like you can actually type in the words that you're helping solve the problem of. That makes sense. And then see what comes up in the comments, and then you see the actual like conversations people are having about that problem. That's a really good tip. And then you can almost take it a step further and just jump on into those groups if you're a member of those groups and help them. That's a really nice way of providing value up front to your dream client, because you know they're your dream client already because they're in this group, they've put their hand up and said this is me. Secondly, you know that they know they've got a problem that you can help with. And thirdly, you're actively going in there and giving them some value up front. So it's kind of like a win-win, like condense down that journey from awareness to sale, to like go where they are and start providing them value immediately. So I love that. I use that all the time in Facebook, and I think, sorry, there's like so much information here. If anyone's got any questions after this, just let me know. But yeah, don't provide too much free value, because then you'll just get lost in this chain of like endless commenting with no end goal. Make sure you have an end goal, right? So the end goal could be join my Facebook group. If you want more of tips like this, I've got a great program. Like, make sure there's an action, as opposed to just you being endlessly helpful, which is great, but it's not going to move your business forward. Cool. I think that is it. I would love to know if any of you guys are looking at creating your dream client avatar, you've got any challenges around it. Just let me know, like, what's your biggest takeaway, what's your biggest challenge around this, because it's a lot of information and there is so much information out here. Like, you can watch endless YouTubes and endless trainings just on this subject, and it can be a lot. But I think the important thing is really get into, like, under the skin of your dream client. Remember, there's a difference between target audience and dream client. That is one person. So when you're writing stuff, make sure you're writing to one person, and then make sure you're writing the right kind of content for where they are in their journey with you. So if you can remember those 3 things, you'll be absolutely golden. Thank you so much. I can't wait for next week. So next week I'm going to be doing kind of more of the same, but more around sales, more around how we can position ourselves to sell from a really authentic place, from a place that feels really good, and then how to identify what kind of salesperson you are. So what's going to help you feel natural and help you connect with your sales process so it feels easy. It doesn't have to be hard. You just have to figure out the style that suits you. So I would love for you guys to join. Message me and let me know what you've loved from this, and I will see you next Tuesday. Bye.